Okay. Hello, everyone. Fantastic. Welcome. Everyone's joining in. Lovely to see everyone's faces. If you can have video on, that is absolutely fantastic. We love being able to connect with you as well. Fantastic. We have so much planned for today. So, first of all, I would love everyone here that's here live, pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Where you are in the world and what you do creatively. You are at the right place. This is going to be all about pricing for illustrators, pricing for visual creatives. We're going to have some fun today in this hour-long workshop. So just as everyone's joining in, pop into the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively, just as we have more people joining us at the moment as well. What do you do creatively and where are you in the world? Now, those of you that don't know me may be a little bit confused about the accent. I am from New Zealand originally. I'm based in the US now. I'm based in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia, but am from New Zealand originally. So that does sometimes throw people off and they're like, who's this Australian guy? A lot of people say Australian, but it is actually a New Zealand accent. There we go, which is great. And we'll learn a bit more about the rest of the team are from here as well, Kathleen, Joanna, Paul too, as we get into it. So just having a look at the chat here. Awesome. People are firing in where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Amazing. There we go, Heath. Good to see you again. Fantastic. Kansas, nice. Video editing, graphic design. Rachel from Phoenix, I love it. Illustration, graphic design. Texas, graphic design. This is so good. New York City, nice. Emerging fashion designer, work remotely for a social media and graphic company. I love that. Very, very cool. This is awesome. And just have a look through the chat. We've got people here, Delaware, LA. There we go, California, Portland. Oh, another Portlander there. I love it. Hey, Sam. Fantastic. We've got multiple Portlanders here. I wonder why that is. There we go. Hey, Tiffany, amazing. Good to see you here as well. Hawaii, nice. Portland. This is awesome. Just seeing where everyone is from, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think this here is really awesome to really see and understand that we've got lots of interesting, creative people here today. You're all here to learn, which is absolutely fantastic. I love it. Okay, we're going to jump into it. So to start with, I'm going to get Joanna to do a bit of an introduction. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Muñoz. I am based in Los Angeles, so it's nice to see a lot of people are from here. I run a studio called Wink and Wonder. I have a BFA in graphic design from like ages ago. I worked as a designer and art director. My longest job was the last job, 12 years, and I designed some websites for all the studios here in LA. And I took on freelance gigs since 2013. In 2018, I wrote a book because a publisher reached out to me. In 2019, I started teaching workshops because I wrote the book. Um, I've taught um, I've taught workshops and then I've done live lettering events for major brands. And at the end of 2019, I thought I can do this for a living, so I went full-time freelance right before COVID. And then after COVID, I suddenly realized even though I knew how to do freelance, I didn't know how to run a business, which is where Logan came in. So since then, I've designed gift cards for Target. I've licensed my artwork to greeting card companies. I've done events for Disney and Coach. And yeah, I'm feeling really good about my business now. And having a coach really, really helped me out in terms of kind of setting the tone for what I want my career to be rather than just kind of floating around and trying to figure it out as I go.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Joanna. We will get Kathleen to do an intro in a moment as well. If you've just joined us, pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively as well. If you can have your video on today, we love being able to see you as well. If you are eating lunch or something like that, totally all good as well. You don't have to have it on. Kathleen, over to you.
Hi, my name is Kathleen. I'm an independent illustrator and graphic designer based in Portland, Oregon. I know there's a bunch of people from Portland here, which is great to see. I was working as a designer and art director in advertising, and I met Logan kind of through a call like this during the pandemic when I was considering making freelance a bigger part of my life and potentially transitioning into it full time. And I really appreciated his experience with creatives and his outlook and approach on business as a whole. So since then, I was able to quit my corporate advertising job And I've worked with clients like Disney and Girl Scouts and built up from making like a few $100s here and there from kind of random projects to consistently five-figure months and kind of sustaining a business for 4 years now, which is really exciting. So uh, Logan works with creatives like us all across North America and Europe. He has a master's in entrepreneurship and was the owner of his own creative business for 11 years. So he's been there, he has the perspective and experience. And I know he's helped many people, including myself, quit their day jobs and build something very real, not just getting by day to day. He's helped artists make five-figure months a regular occurrence and six-figure years a normal reality. So I'm really excited to be here today to talk with him and Joanna about kind of one of the most important things I feel like to learn when kind of starting a creative business, how to price your work. So I'll throw it back to Logan.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And just honestly lovely to be here. There's so much we're going to be diving into. And, I think just kind of adding to what Kathleen said there is that ultimately for me, the passion is really between the business and the creative artistic side. It's something I've always wanted, bridge the gap. Obviously worked as a creative myself for many, many years. I did a lot of work with universities as well, right up to a master's level, a lot of teaching work. And that's basically what then really evolved eventually into helping more people grow their own businesses. So look, people we do end up working with, they're kind of a mix, right? You've got people that are really early stage, trying to get started, might be like Kathleen, like wanting to leave a day job. We also work with people that are further along. They're like, hey, I'm already full-time on the business. I need to get it to that next level, more sustainable as well. And then we do also work with people even sometimes who have been in business for like 10, 20, even 30 years to help them have more sustainability, sometimes work in mindset or launching new revenue streams as well. Everyone we work with is a visual creative. Illustration is very much a big core of the areas of people who we work with, graphic designers, illustrators, muralists as well, and people in surface pattern design too. So it's very much this visual creative space, which is fantastic. Okay, yeah, and as Kathleen mentioned as well, most of our clients we work with are actually in the US, Canada, and occasionally Europe. So that's kind of primarily, we're a US-based company. I'm based in the US, even though if those of you didn't hear early on, I am from New Zealand originally. So there we go. We've also got Paul from my team here today, Paul Corgan, who is the great creative business specialist on the team. So I'm going to get Paul to do a bit of a brief introduction as well. So you'll get to know about him as well. Over to you, Paul.
Yeah, hey everyone. Thanks, Logan. I'm the creative business specialist here at the team, and love working with you all to help, make your businesses thrive. And I'm based here in Maine. I don't know if anybody was from this neck of the woods, but I have a Christmas tree business up here and some other businesses that I work on up this way. And excited to chat with you all potentially, as Logan will talk about a little bit more later on in the call. So great to be here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. Fantastic. And as Paul mentioned, we are actually going to be giving away some free clarity calls with Paul. This is a great opportunity for people who are here on the workshop to really connect and take things further based on what they learned today as well. So they will be free calls. We're going to literally pop Paul's Calendly link at the end. So do make sure you stick around for the end so we can get that all linked up for you. Totally free call and a great way to really add a bit more to what you're doing today as well. The other fun thing that we're going to do towards the end is we're going to give away $100. So who would like $100? Pop it in the chat. Would you like $100? Yes, me. You can add it into the chat. Everyone's waving as well. I want $100 cash. Pop it in the chat. Who wants $100? Who's interested in $100 cash? Look, we're just going to have a bit of fun with this one here. And what it really is towards the end of the call, we're going to select one person who's here with us live today to give $100 cash, who is the most interactive person here, right? Key caveats with that is ideally have your video on if you can, using the chat. If you have any questions you want to add during the time as well, then we'll make sure we try and answer them at the end. But this is just a way to have a bit more fun and get everyone leaning in as well, rather than kind of like sitting back, falling asleep in the corner, listening in. It's like, hey, there's so much opportunity to learn here. And also you might get $100 cash. So there we go. Everyone's like, yes, sounds good. Absolutely. I love it. So we'll have some fun there as well. Celeste from my team will be doing the picking for that as well. So Celeste's keeping an eye. There you go. Amazing. Okay, so let's dive into it. So the first thing I love to say here is congratulations for being here, right? Everyone's busy. I get it. Everyone has things happening in their lives. If you're already running a business, like I get it, right? It's a busy time. And even at the moment, we're midsummer, right? I get it. There's a lot happening. So first of all, congratulations for just showing up to learn, to grow. The big difference there between people who are successful and not successful is that the successful ones take action and they show up. Right. So being here today is about committing to your own growth and learning, because that's such an important part of the journey as well. Learning, what are the things I need to learn, or what do I know that, what are the things I don't know that I need to know, right? These things are so, so important. Today is also going to be about taking action as well. So please make sure that you have a pen and paper or a document open on your computer, because you're going to want to take lots of notes. The other side of this is that I would love absolutely everyone here to book the freebie call with Paul at the end of this to really help you to contextualize what you've learned today, really personalize things there as well. Okay, so today's topic is all about pricing for illustrators. This is such a powerful topic, and I'm going to be going through a bunch of different training points. We're also going to be having Joanna and Kathleen sharing some of their experiences and journeys around each of these points as well. I love being able to have them both here, because this is them sharing the real side of how these things are applied. Really, really important. So, I think pricing is such a powerful topic, mainly because so many people struggle with it. Those of you who have your camera on, raise your hand if you struggle with raising your rates, pricing things right, what to charge, right? There we go. It's super, super common that people really struggle with this, right? And ultimately, you have to get this stuff right. Because if you get it wrong, then ultimately you're not really going to be very profitable, and you're going to end up stuck on a hamster wheel, just working all the time and not really getting paid. And that's going to stop you from leaving the day job if that's where you're right now, or from growing your business if you're already doing that. And it might even stop you from taking time off, from resting. Suddenly you just have to work long days into the night every weekend. And ultimately, yeah, you might be able to do that for a little bit, but not for very long, and you're going to burn yourself out. So pricing is so, so important. We had this client who, when we first started speaking to her, she was like, Logan, I'm working over 60 hours a week. I'm burning myself out. I'm exhausted, and I'm only earning 3K per month. And what she kind of said was, she was like, yeah, I would love to earn 6K, 9K, 12K. I'd love to have, that six-figure business, but I can't just double my input, right? I'm already putting so much time and energy into this business. Right now, for her, growing her business was not just putting more time in, right? It was actually increasing her rates was a big part of that. And yes, there was other pieces of it. There was mindset work, there was some productivity stuff, there was some marketing things we really had to figure out. But one of those big pieces was actually increasing the rates so that her time was actually worth a lot more. So now these days she works under 40 hours a week and is earning 6 to 10K consistently per month. Right. And that's a really important thing to understand, because I think often people have that block of I'm already putting in so much time and energy. How am I ever going to get there? Right. It's hard to imagine that. So if that's you, if you recognize yourself in that place, or if you're early stage trying to figure it out, then you are actually at the right place, which is great. So we're going to talk about getting you some more clarity around pricing, both in terms of what you charge now or what you can charge in the future, no matter what stage that you're at. So first thing I want to talk through is about value. Value is a really interesting word, and we're going to talk about how to add value to the work that you do. Because ultimately what we want you to do is we want you to compete on value, not on price. This is a really, really essential point, right? Competing based on value, not based on price. So what some people do is they say, yes, come work with me. I'm really cheap. I'm the best price that you'll find. Now, that's just a race to the bottom, because there's always going to be someone charging less than you. Always, no matter what. And there's probably actually going to even be people out there who are doing things for free, which can be incredibly frustrating for you as well. So instead of charging based on price, we need to go, hey, what is the value here? And we're going to dig into this more as well. But ultimately, one of the ways to compete on value is to understand what the value is for the ideal client, right? So if someone's interested in working with you, what do they care about? What is valuable about the work that you do? And part of the thing there is to literally ask them. Kind of sounds obvious, right? Most people forget about this, right? Someone says, hey, we'd love to work with you. How much is it? Right? And you go, it's this much. And it's like, wait a minute. You don't even know what they care about. So actually asking those clients, right? talk to them? Can you get on a call? Can you have an email correspondence with them to understand, well, firstly, yes, I've got some different ways I can send you through my pricing. Firstly, I just want to double check, like, what do you need? What do you want? What are you interested in? Right? And asking them a range of questions by actually emailing them or getting on a call so that you can understand what do they care about. Because they may not care about something that you think is important. You may think, okay, well, it must be that they want something cheap. Well, no, they might want something really high quality, but they may want quick turnaround, or they actually may want a lot of personalized focus, or they may need something specific that you can offer, but you need to make sure you understand exactly what that is. Now, another part of showing value is through showing value beyond exactly what you do, right? So what I mean here is that your output, let's say you're a designer, it could be a logo, it could be branding, or the output could be a mural if you're a muralist, right? Could be a mural, right? That's the output, that's the thing there, but they're paying for so much more than the output. They're paying for how you do it, the way that you communicate. So how do you add more value in terms of what you do? Great communication is a really good way to do that. So having fantastic communication is really, really important. What does this mean? Well, replying to emails in a timely manner, right? Having a solid sales process, right? Sales is kind of a word that most of our clients are not particularly excited about. Oh, this word sales. Well, we're still going to make sure that actually we have a good system around this, a professional sales system. So this person goes, wow, this person's work is phenomenal, but also they reply in a timely manner. They have professional proposals, right? They have a process that I can actually trust. So this is really, really important. The other part of this related to this communication is trust, right? Building trust is going to add value. We all understand that. There might be someone else out there who's cheaper, but are they trustworthy? So how can you actually build trust is a really important part of this. You build trust through great professionalism, through being kind, through having that reasonable turnaround, through having testimonials, right? Having case studies on your website or on your proposal, right? Building trust, being honest, building that relationship, keeping in touch. These are all such important things when it comes to building value. So there's a lot here in this. We're going to get some of Joanna's thoughts around this stuff as well, because I know, yeah, you've been on a journey and learned a ton around these things as well. So yeah, let's talk about value here. Joanna, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
It's interesting because I've come from both sides. I've been on the advertising side where I've hired freelance artists. Apologies for the cat roaming around on my computer screen. And I've been the freelance artist that needed to be hired. So when someone reaches out, I like asking them, well, what references do you have from my own work? Because then I can see what they're aligned with, whether that's lettering or illustration and their focus. I like to think of myself as a collaborator, not just someone they hire, not an employee, not someone they can just throw money at, someone that they want to work with as a partner. And I also read into their emails or their calls. And, when they reach out and they say, well, you're the first person I thought of, then instantly I know my value is already up there and I don't really have to fight for the job. So it's you're the first person I thought of, or I think you'd be a perfect fit based on the work that I've seen. And so you just kind of glean the the value that you are providing for the client. And that's kind of a talking point where you can kind of negotiate a better price from there. So that's basically what I picked up over the years. It's tiny little things and sometimes it's big things. You just kind of have to read between the lines and or be direct. And like Logan said, just straight up ask them what what they need. And they're pretty honest for the most part. I think they're often taken aback because people don't ask them straight up. And sometimes they don't know. And so they look to you to help them find that answer.
Yeah, I love this because I think, it's really understanding that there's so many intricate pieces to this puzzle as well, right? So yes, it's what sorts of questions to ask. And as you said there, Joanna, sometimes people don't actually know what to ask, or they don't know how to communicate what their needs are. So part of your job as that creative, as the designer, is to actually go, hey, let's talk about these things. Here's the questions. Here's how I can help. Let's get on a call. So important. I'm just having a look at the chat here as well. I love all the different points people are sharing. I'm just going to read some of them out because there's some really important stuff here. It is really difficult to determine the price and sell your actual worth and value from Heath there. Absolutely. This is a big part of what we're talking about. We're going to dig more into that because I think just being aware, this is stuff that people really struggle with. Right? Leah, the hamster wheel versus that real business growth, feeling that, right? Absolutely. This is challenging because you can end up just working. And it's sometimes hard if you're just working, trying to deliver to clients, to even think about the strategic side of the business as well. Fighting imposter syndrome, so real, yes, right? When it comes to pricing, we'll talk more about this, but often what you charge can be related to your confidence in your ability to deliver or your confidence in the quality of your work. So imposter syndrome is a real thing there as well. Just having a look through here, getting stuck back into graphic design, Jeremy, and I'm struggling to not to want to charge my 2018 rates. Yeah, this is really common, right? You only believe you're worth what you have actually charged. Right? And yes, we need to increase those rates. We need to make sure you're building sustainably as well. But part of that is going to be getting out of that comfort zone as well. So, yep, I agree there with you, Heath. Fiverr is so destructive for us. The reason for that, we've kind of seen the odd person that we've started working with who's like on Fiverr or, you know, other similar sites, and they often feel really demotivated because they're just seeing all these people out there that are charging very, very low rates. So therefore, they feel like they have to charge those low rates as well. Quicker solution is do not actually even bother going on those platforms. There's much better ways to grow your business than actually putting your services on Fiverr. Yes, you could find some opportunities through that, but it's more the challenge that it can bring to your own mindset and you to feel like you're actually not worth that much. So absolutely love this. Feel free to keep adding things into the chat as we go. What we are going to do now, though, is we're going to get everyone connected through Instagram. So Celeste from my team is going to drop our Instagram link, our Flambo Entrepreneur. That is myself and my team's Instagram. Make sure you're connected with us. Joanna and Kathleen are going to drop theirs as well. And then everyone here, you're here live, pop it in the chat, right? Go and grab your URL, like go and actually get your URL link, not just the @ and pop it in the chat so that you can get connected with everyone here, because building community is absolutely essential when it comes to building a business, right? Connecting with, yes, myself, my team, Joanna and Kathleen, absolutely, but also getting connected with other people here. So I see people are firing it into the chat already, and like go through and make sure you're connected with everyone. Right? Go check out their posts, go follow them, go comment on something, right? Really get connected there. I know we're connected with a bunch of you already through Flambo Entrepreneur, which is great. Would love to make sure we're connected if not yet. And this is also building up community. Kathleen and Joanna know this, is that a big part of their journey has also been surrounding themselves with the right people. That looks like other creatives who are also on a growth journey. And we have a whole lot of people who are here live with us today who are like, oh, I want to learn, I want to figure things out. So these are great people to have in your network as well. Amazing. Everyone's popping them into the chat. I absolutely love that. So definitely make sure you're connected with everyone. And you can just click through now. Everyone's browsers are going to end up with lots of tabs, but go through and actually make sure you're following everyone. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about figuring out what to charge, right? And actually how to actually price things right. This is a really interesting one because a lot of people do really struggle to get the numbers right. And the first thing I'll say here is that most people undercharge, particularly people that are early stage. Right. And there's kind of an interesting thing that happens in people's minds. They're like, oh, well, you know, I'm early stage in my business. I'm trying to figure things out still. So therefore, I'm going to charge these really low rates because I don't really know what I'm doing. And I'm like, you don't have to do that because actually the quality of your work is really high. Yeah, there's some business stuff you're still figuring out. That's okay. But you can often charge a much higher rate than you think. We talked about imposter syndrome, talked about confidence. These things are so connected with this as well. A big piece of what to charge is that you need to charge based on what people will pay. Right? This is like the most important point of this entire workshop today. You need to charge based on what people will pay, not based on your time. Right? So what most people do is they're like, well, you know, this is going to take me an hour. This is going to take me 4 hours. I'm going to charge per hour rates. Now, yes, in some instances, per hour rates may make sense, but the more important piece of this is like, what is the work worth and what are people actually willing to pay? Where possible, we need to focus on more project-based pricing, not per hour, not per day, right? We really need to move away from that. I think, it's kind of interesting for many clients. Sometimes the per hour or per day that you might offer them is actually kind of confusing because they're like, okay, that's great, but like, how many hours is this going to take, or how many days, or what is this going to look like? And you're like, well, it kind of depends. And they're like, okay, and they may not work with you because they feel really overwhelmed by that. Ultimately, having a project rate, hey, I'm going to charge you $1,000, I'm going to charge you $2,000, I'm going to charge you $3,000, is actually going to allow the client to have a set clear price, but also it's going to make sure that you're charging based on what they're willing to pay. And look, yes, this is a hard thing at times to work out. I totally get that. But this is a lesson that I want everyone to really remember from today. If you forget everything else that we talk about, charging based on what people will pay is the most important thing here, rather than just based on their time. Now, I will say, do the numbers. All right, figure out what people are willing to pay and then do the numbers. When I say do the numbers, yeah, what is the time involved? Are there any other costs? Are there any other material costs? Yes. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. You still need to do those equations, but we need to remember that's not where you should start. Right? So doing the numbers might be, okay, well, this project here, how many hours will it take at maximum, minimum? Or, okay, what would this look like in an ideal world? Or if this goes terribly, okay, well, how many hours would that be? And then do the numbers for that. Right? If you're charging $500 and it's going to take you 20 hours, do the numbers on that. You might not be as happy as you thought. Or you might be like, okay, cool. Like this is going to be about 5 hours of my work. Could be a bit high, could be a bit lower by an hour or two. Okay. Actually, me charging 500 or 1,000, you might feel really, really good. So making sure you're still doing the numbers. I'm not saying the numbers don't matter. I'm just saying don't immediately go, okay, well, I'm worth X amount per hour and it's going to take 5 hours. So I multiply it. It's like, well, what's the thing worth to them? What are they willing to actually pay? So obviously this is a complex question. Kathleen, we'd love to hear some of your thoughts around these things around the rates there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think for myself and probably for a lot of you, like the idea of the price is like was like this very opaque concept of like, oh, there's this perfect number that's a mystery and like some people are hitting it somehow, and I'm not. But it's I think one of the things that like Logan really opened up for me was like just how many factors go into setting that price. There's not a perfect number. There is no like one number that, is like the only one that the client will accept and that you'll be happy with. And it's made up of so many different factors and really based on kind of what you need to sustainably, survive and, make hit your goals, as well as what that client is willing to pay, like Logan said. And there's I can kind of go through some of the things I think of, and an easy place to start is with that sort of like figuring out how long it's going to take you and making sure that what you're charging is going to be enough. But that is truly like a start. Like that is truly like the rock bottom. Like it should always kind of go from there based on the value. And also don't forget that there's admin time. So don't think about think about taxes. You have to consider more than just like this is exactly how long it will take me, and that's how much it's worth. Thinking about what are the licensing terms, which is its own other thing, but like what is the client, how long is the client going to be able to use this? What are they using it for? How is this piece going to be generating value or money for the client? Like thinking about, where they're planning to use it, and if they're going to be making a bunch of money off of it, like you should also be, charging to reflect that. And also thinking about the client size, like I charge a small mom and pop shop in Portland or like a local nonprofit differently than I do when, a large company comes to me, not because they can just afford it, which is they definitely can, but because they're going to be seeing a much bigger value from that. Like a social post that they put out will gain a lot more for them than like a small, someone with a smaller following, smaller business. And then thinking about how busy you are. I price higher if I'm busy because I may have to say no to things. Are there any materials? When I used to do murals, I had to remember to include, materials costs. Also, do you want to do the project? Like I have what I call a red flag rate, which is like if the client seems like they might be difficult, I am jacking that price up so that if they do decide to pay it, I am compensated for what I think might be a little bit more difficult of a project. So there's so much that goes into it, and remembering that, what you're providing is not a necessarily a just service-based, time-based, you're providing something, a actual piece that is going to provide value for someone else. Therefore, you need to be pricing so that you are reflecting that value, which can be difficult. And like I said, there's a lot of different factors. And, it took time to go through all those factors, especially when I was working with Logan, like talking through like, what is, that, hourly rate that I can start off of, or what is, how much am I changing based on the size of the client, those kinds of things. But just remembering that there are all those different factors whenever you approach a proposal is very important. So
I love it. I mean, I think one thing I'll sort of add to that there is like, there's ultimately a point where you just need to actually put a stake in the ground and have it go, right? And Kathleen learned that, right? Is that it's, it can be really challenging because you can get really tangled up in a lot of these things, and you've got to do the work, as Kathleen said. There's also, you'll reach a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to try this, and you're going to test it. And then you're like, okay, great, I charge that. That means that you could probably charge that again and again and again, or you may even be able to increase that rate, right? So anytime someone says yes to working with you, as saying, yes, they're willing to pay this, they may even be willing to pay more than what you offered, right? Odds are they probably would be willing to pay at least a little bit more. They might be willing to pay quite a lot more. So part of this is the experimentation phase of this as well. As Kathleen said, that's part of what she had to work through to get to the point where she is as well. So absolutely love it. We're going to talk about talking to clients about money, and also thinking about your rates and what you're actually charging. Because this piece here is kind of an interesting one where I think a lot of people get quite tangled up. And something I will say is that most people have pretty weird beliefs around money, right? Like most people, this includes like probably most people here, right? Most of us have some pretty odd, strange ideas around how money actually works. What we need to understand is that money is just a form of trade, right? We literally are trading something rather than actually trying to trade a service for another service, or a product for a service, or a product for a product, right? So rather than saying, hey, well, I have a goat and I can trade you for this thing here, we're basically saying, well, I don't need a goat, or I don't need this thing here. Instead, there's money. Money just represents value as well. So we need to just understand that. Sometimes I've heard people sort of say, oh, like, if I'm charging someone, I'm taking their money, right? We even use that word, like taking someone's money. It's like, you're not taking anything, you're trading, right? That's all that money is really doing. It's just a form of trade. So one of these pieces here is understanding that we need to get more clear on actually, what does trading actually mean? Well, it's trading. What is moving money around me? It's trading, right? If someone doesn't feel like that's a good trade, they can say no. Right? Really, really important. So you can pitch a price to a client and they get to say yes, and they get to say no, or they get to say maybe, right? That's just part of trade. Really, really important to understand that. So, often there's fear or worry, or like, I don't want to take advantage of this person, or I don't want to, overvalue my work, or, ultimately is that they get to decide by saying yes or saying no. Right? They get to actually let you know. And then you can decide, okay, well, is it because I'm talking to the wrong person? Is it that I'm undercharging? Is it that I'm overcharging? And understanding again that so much of this is connected with confidence. Right? So building up your confidence in what you do, and building up your confidence internally, is also what will allow you to confidently charge the rates, confidently tell a client, this is what I charge. Right? Because if you say, oh, I kind of charge this amount here, they're like, can I trust you? You don't seem like you're very confident about it. Is that what you're worth? Right? They're going to be questioning that. Whereas when you say, hey, it's this amount here, this is what it costs to work with me, right? There's a different level there that they will understand that confidence. And I think part of this is understanding that you're probably worth a lot more than you realize, but you need to find the right people. Right? This is part of it as well. And look, I'm sure there's people here that are like, I would love to increase my rates, but already clients are saying to me like, oh, that's so much money, or then people don't work with you because they're like, wow, like, can you halve the rate? Right? They're saying it's way too expensive, and you're like, I feel like I need to increase my rates to make this a feasible business. So sometimes part of that journey is actually finding the right people. Right? Unfortunately, not everyone, even if they do have a need, not everyone is willing to pay for that need, or not willing to pay what you're worth to actually have that need fulfilled. So understanding part of this is the ideal clients, right? Who are the ideal clients? Who are the people that are willing to value what you do, that you would love to absolutely work with as well? Part of this is also working on your mindsets, right? If you come into running your business with a feeling of scarcity, it's all a fight, it's all a battle, well, yeah, you're going to really struggle to build a long-term business. Whereas if you come in with, hey, abundance mindset says there's lots of opportunity, I just need to connect with the right people, and then present my offers in professional ways, fantastic. And then I'll be able to grow my business. So we get to believe either story. Story one is we're all fighting. There's not that many clients out there. Everyone wants to pay nothing, right? Scarcity, world of scarcity. Or is it a world of abundance? Yes, there's lots of people out there. I just need to connect with them. There's lots of people out there who are willing to pay really good rates. I just need to find them. Really, really important. And I think, when you're talking to your clients, understanding that professional side is so, so important, right? I talked about that early on. If you don't come across professionally, it doesn't matter what you're charging or even how good your actual work is. They might be like, I don't know if I can trust this person. I don't know if they're going to deliver the goods. I don't know if they're going to reply to my emails, right? Because they just don't seem very professional. So understanding that professionalism is really, really important. Now, a couple of extra tips around this. You can ask for someone's budget, right? You're allowed to say, hey, do you have a budget in mind? Now, a lot of people actually won't answer that question, or they'll be like, oh, I'm just kind of keen to see what your rates are. But some people will answer you and say, my budget is X amount. And we've seen again and again, sometimes that can be really surprising. Oh, their budget is actually more than I thought it was going to be. Right? So understanding their budget, they may even give you a budget range, but understanding you are allowed to ask that can actually be a big win. Also, make sure you present with a professional proposal. We get it early stage. Sometimes people are just firing things on an email. Here's the rates to work with you. If you can take that and put it on more of a professional proposal format, it could even just be a PDF format with a bunch of information about yourself, with a bunch of information about previous projects you've done, and obviously with the actual proposal of what you're going to do, and bring in some imagery to it, some design into it, that's actually going to come across as more professional. Even if it's just the same thing, but instead it's on a PDF, more laid out, more professional than the email, well, you're actually going to get more yeses from that, and they're going to trust you more, value you more as well. So part of this is how you present to those ideal clients as well. Fantastic. Joanna, would love to hear some of your thoughts around these things of talking to clients about money and these different elements.
First off, know your worth and protect your peace. I love the red flag rate that Kathleen mentioned. Make it worth your time. If you feel like it's going to be a crazy project, just shoot for the stars. And if they say yes, then, make peace with that you're going for it. Um, I also recommend for illustrators and actually anyone on here, the Graphic Artists Guild Handbook for Pricing and Ethical. It's a massive title, Pricing and Ethical Guidelines. It's a really good place to kind of get an idea of what to charge and then adjust from there. Um, I also highly recommend just talking to your peers in your industry. Don't be shy. And if people don't want to share their rates, it's okay. But most people understand the fear of pricing and are pretty open when you ask them, I have this client, this is kind of the brief, can we talk through, can we play off ideas on like what sounds reasonable to charge because I'm having a hard time. I actually met a couple of people through Logan's program that I go to whenever I'm uncomfortable with maybe the price I want to charge. So I'm really grateful I met them in the program. I like to think of pushback as a challenge. I like to price things in packages so that I'm not just offering one thing, I'm offering like a series of things that they can pick and choose from. So that way it's not just a black and white yes or no. There's always room to negotiate. Um, and sometimes you can offer them something they haven't thought of. when I pitch to clients, I have a decent social media following. So I always pitch reels if they want to promote their product or the project. I show a process reel and kind of throw that into the mix when I talk about pricing and what they're looking for.
I love this. So, so powerful. And being able to hear Joanna and Kathleen's like real world stories is so invaluable here as well. Because yes, look, I'm here to share the expertise based on working with so many clients for many, many years, but you all being able to actually see things in action, so, so powerful as well. So thank you, Joanna and Kathleen. I think this is great. I'm just having a look at the chat here as well. I love how interactive everyone's being. Just a reminder, we're gonna give away $100 at the end of the call to the most interactive person. Everyone has totally taken this on board. Everyone is battling it out, which is fun. And look, this is just great because it's really about having a bit of extra fun, keeping things interactive and interesting as well, which is absolutely awesome. So I really love this here. I think there's a good question there from MK. I might drop, I'll put that in the questions for the end, just really talking about what happens when they cringe and how do we compromise or if they want to negotiate. So we will make sure we address that. Also, I love what you said here, MK, around as a designer who works relatively quickly, I cannot do per hour pricing. Right. So this is kind of the thing here is that, yeah, if you're really good and you work quite quickly, if you're charging per hour, well, actually, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're actually ending up doing the client a bit of a disservice as well, because your incentive is, hey, well, maybe I should just take longer and maybe not do as good a job. Well, it's like, no, we want it to be based on actually what's the outcome, what's the project here for that. So really, really important, making sure that you get these things right is that you want to be rewarded. If you're fast, you want to be rewarded for that. Really, really important because yes, Paul mentioned this in the chat here as well. If you haven't seen in the chat, so much value is in your expertise. Right, there's the great story there around, I've actually lost it in the chat, but Picasso's napkin story. Go check that out as well, because it's really about understanding the time, the expertise, the studies, how long it took you to do that thing that you can now do quite quickly. So absolutely love that. Okay, cool. So we're going to keep moving through this. Next thing I want to talk about is raising your rates with confidence. Right, so, it's remembering again what I said earlier on is that most people undercharge. And ultimately, if you're undercharging for your time, for your energy, for your expertise, it's actually going to be really hard to build a long-term sustainable business. Because what's going to happen is you're always going to be working really, really long hours. Right? You're always going to be working long hours. You're always going to be battling to pay the bills. And ultimately, you're not going to be able to reach these goals that you have. You're not going to be able to take time off. You're probably going to be like, oh, well, I need to work this Saturday. I need to work till midnight, right? Because ultimately the rates that you're charging are not designed to build a long-term sustainable business. And what else happens is, well, you get stuck working for the clients, delivering projects, and you have no time to focus on the business growth and the marketing things and the other things that you need to do as well. So getting the stuff right is really important, and increasing your rates is an ongoing thing. This is not something you just do once, you see it and then you forget about. No, you need to keep increasing your rates. We've got to keep up with inflation. We've got to keep up with things as your skills evolve and change as well. And as you can deliver more and more value, we need to make sure absolutely that you're increasing your rates. Now, a really simple equation we do have is that 20% of people should say no to you based on price alone. I'm going to dig into this one a little bit more because it's quite an interesting one. So what I'm saying is that there should be some friction, right? You're putting your offers out there, your proposals, your rates. If you're finding that everyone just says yes, this is like the quickest answer is like, well, if everyone's saying yes to you, then you're undercharging. Some people should be saying no. Now, I'm sure there's people here that are like, well, it's a lot more than 20%, right? That's okay. That's a different challenge. But we need to understand for the people here who are just like, everyone says yes, I never get a no. Well, it's probably telling us that you're undercharging. We want to see some no's, right? We want to see some people saying no. And that 20% is a bit of a rule of thumb. Keeping in mind, I said 20% based on price, right? As in 20% of people say, oh, sorry, I can't afford that, or I'm not willing to pay that. Right? There will be lots of other reasons why people say no to working with you. You will probably assume it's price because that's where our minds go most of the time is, I charge them too much. But there's a lot of other factors. They may not have found the process with you very professional. They may have found someone else who they want to work with instead. Right? There could be lots of other factors. Maybe they ghosted you and you have never heard from them again, and you're like, oh, it's because I overquoted. Oh, it's really annoying. I was trying to raise my rates a bit. Well, no, maybe they're no longer at that job. Maybe if they were a business owner, they're no longer in business. Maybe they had a death in the family. Maybe something happened. Maybe they got sick. Right? It's interesting how our minds often jump to like, oh, it's because I tried to increase my rates. So understanding this piece is really important. Something we've also noticed here is that ultimately raising your rates is going to be really important, and having higher priced offerings is going to be an important part of that as well. I'm briefly going to speak to this, mainly because I see a lot of people getting this wrong. If you're selling things at a really low rate, right? $50, $100, $200, these lower rates here, what's going to happen is you're just going to be working all the time, because every single sale, every single client takes time to set up, to do the proposal, to talk with, all of those things there. So instead, what we need to do is we need to start charging $500, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, right? These higher rates, we see it again and again. These are the sorts of rates that are going to allow you to leave your day job. Right. And yes, when I talk about rates, this is per project rate. So even if you are doing per hour stuff, okay, that's fine. As we said, try and move towards project rates. But the project overall, when you add up all the hours, you want it to be worth hundreds of dollars or even thousands, ideally. Right? If you're only getting paid a small amount here, $50 here, $100 there, it's going to be really hard for that to add up to 5 to 10K per month. It's just so much that you need to do. So being really aware of that is really, really important. And also understanding that you need to get paid well for what you do so that you can do all those other things Kathleen mentioned. You can pay your taxes. You can have your time off, right? You can cover any materials. You can cover the other business things, right? You can cover everything that you need to in your business, plus give yourself time and invest in yourself as well, right? So this is really, really important when it comes to raising rates. We have a really good question around this as well that Paul's going to drop in a bit later on as well. But I just want everyone to be very aware that part of it is to ongoing increase your rates. It's an ongoing thing you need to do. Some people think about it per year. That's fine. You can do that. It doesn't need to be set per year that you increase your rates. That could be a good way to do it. You can actually increase your rates at any time. And it's hard. Right? Just to be really clear here, like this is something that a lot of people really struggle with, increasing their actual rates. So Kathleen, we'd love to hear some of your thoughts and experiences around this one, because I know you've got a ton of experience because you've done this so many times. You've raised your rates so many times here as well.
Yeah, I mean, really the way that I kind of approach it is every single project is an opportunity to raise your rates. It doesn't mean you necessarily will, and it doesn't mean you necessarily will get paid more every single project because, there's all those factors I talked about earlier, and, you may get things may change, but every project is an opportunity to do that. And, approaching each one with being like, okay, like, how can I, how am I doing? Like looking at, when you're building the proposal, like, is there room here to, move things up? I think, especially if you're getting automatic approvals every time, like if you're like, I've been getting approved for the last few projects, like maybe this one I try and, see if I can, move things up, and maybe I'm undercharging a little bit, or maybe, the market has shifted. And every so often, I think this was kind of something that Logan challenged me to do, like, because it was really hard. But he was like, especially if you have a project, maybe, you're not super passionate about it, you try throwing out what feels like a crazy number to you. Maybe you're raising your rates like 100%, like doubling them. See what happens. And I think you can always negotiate back down, or, you may lose the project, but losing projects is, after a while, just becomes sort of par for the course. You stop taking it personally. You stop thinking that, it's the end of the world. And, you never know what people will say yes to. I've sent some like huge proposals that I thought like, there's no way they're going to want to pay this. And they're like, yeah, like that sounds great. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I was clearly, maybe like off on my, pricing before, or maybe there was, something about the client, or maybe, it's a very good kind of experiment to constantly be thinking like, with every new opportunity, like what's different about this? Like, how can I use this as an opportunity to move myself forward in some way. And I think one of the things that people ask me about sometimes is like I have a lot of recurring clients. And raising rates even with people you've worked with before. I think people are very scared, like they'll let someone pay like very low rates for years. But I think approaching each project as an individual, right, even if it's with the same company, upping prices, it may run the risk of losing the client, but if they've already worked with you before, they trust you, they may be willing to invest a little bit more. And just being upfront about those price differences, like saying, when you send, the proposal, like, hey, just so you know, like they may be a little different than last time. Like things have increased, costs have increased over here and my experience has increased. So they just, prices may be a little bit different since we last worked together. Like just being upfront and again, sort of not being afraid to talk about the money, not being so scared. You're not taking anything from them, like Logan said. So I think just always looking for those opportunities to maybe move yourself forward or kind of get out of your own comfort zone. It also just eventually will make proposals and pricing just less scary in general. Like once a bunch of people have said no and negotiated and said yes, you'll start to get more comfortable. So I think it's important to always be kind of thinking about it.
So powerful. Thank you, Kathleen. I think, there's just so much you both yourself and Joanna have to share here, which is so powerful as well. Look, has everyone seen the time? Time absolutely flies. We have covered a ton of stuff today, but we've only really hit the tip of the iceberg, right? So yes, having more clarity, learning about some of these things is good. But as Kathleen also said, there's often a lot of intricacies to dig into as well. There's a bunch of mindset things that can get in the way. And yes, you've often got to dig a lot deeper, figure out the other business elements, the sales and the marketing stuff as well. So obviously, yes, the truth is we've done some great stuff here today, but there's going to be a lot more of what's required to build a long-term successful business. So as part of what we're doing today with this workshop is that we are going to be giving away a bunch of free calls with Paul from my team so that you can actually digest what you actually learned today. You can chat more about the challenges, the dreams, the different things that you have going on as well. So I would love absolutely every person here to book in this call. This is for everyone. It's a free open call for that. I'm going to drop in Paul's link into the chat soon. Also, if you are interested in how we can support you more beyond that free call, you can let Paul know as well, and he can take you through those next steps there. But I would love everyone here to definitely jump on that free call. I've got a couple of quick caveats just to make sure everyone is on the same page around this. The first one is that I want you to be in a position where you're wanting to grow your business, maybe leave your day job or take your business to the next step, right? If you're just kind of like gathering ideas and information and not ready to actually implement things, then this call isn't for you. But if you're someone that wants to learn and this can really help you by having this free call, fantastic. Definitely book this in. The second thing is that we want you to be open to share where you're at, what's getting in your way, get a bit vulnerable, be honest. Share what your dream is, right? Tell Paul what's getting in your way as well, and be open to hearing Paul's ideas because he has so much experience on all of these topics. Basically, we're saying we need you to be coachable and a bit of a growth mindset and willingness to learn. You're going to get a ton from that free call with Paul as well. And then final one is kind of obvious, but it's really important. If you book a call, we want to make sure you commit to it, you turn up ready on time, and we will send you through a quick form to fill in beforehand just to make sure we've got a little bit more details about you so that Paul can prepare, so to make sure that you've done that as well. Paul's time is incredibly valuable, so do make sure you're at a desk, you're ready, you're talking to him, you're not kind of in the car or walking down the road, making Paul really dizzy. This is really, really important as well. So if everyone's happy with that, can everyone just pop into the chat, yes, or agreed, or happy, makes sense, just so that we've got agreement around those extra caveats that I have there. Just pop in something in the chat saying, yes, okay, good, sounds good, amazing, agreed. Yeah, love it. Everyone's getting in there. Thank you so much. That's good. Oh, there's some emojis there too. I love it. Handshake emoji, nice. Okay, cool. So look, I'm going to pop that in. Everyone here, open that link right now. It's the URL link and go find a time right now. No better time to take action. Don't leave it till later. Like just go and get that booked in. And Ideally, try and book it as soon as possible, right? The sooner we can get you on that call, sooner things are going to be fresh from today's workshop as well. So yeah, see if you can get time on the next few days, next week or the week after, as soon as possible on that. So definitely make sure you've got that link, popped that in. What we're going to do next is we're going to dive into some questions. We don't have lots of time, but this first question here, we're going to actually get Paul to answer as well. And it's kind of actually linked to what Kathleen talked about, which is really useful as well. So one of the questions we got sent in before was, how do I increase pricing without scaring off clients, scaring off those current clients that you have, those maybe those repeating regular ones? Paul, over to you.
Yeah, that's a good question. And yeah, Kathleen was just talking a little bit about this, and definitely, it's always a risk of losing the clients that you're raising prices on. That's got to be something you're okay with at the stage you are in your business, and hopefully, if you're moving towards growth, that's good, and that's okay. If you lose a client here and there, you might maintain the relationships with them. Maybe it works great. You don't know, but it's a risk. So yeah, just be prepared for that. But the best way to raise the rates is to find new clients. So that's why marketing is so important. That's why we're talking about this kind of stuff. Because the old clients can kind of be stuck in like, well, it used to cost $300. Why is it now 1,000 or something, right? And so it's kind of hard to navigate that versus getting a new client where you're just at your new pricing. But the trick we kind of help people implement is basically, as Kathleen said, being really open and communicating with your existing clients and say, hey, I've upped my skills. I'm doing this. The rate now is this. However, I really appreciate your consistent working with me over the years, and I'd like to offer you this discount on the new rate, just to honor that kind of relationship. And that's a really good way to do it. And just being transparent, as Kathleen said, is so key.
I love that. So powerful. And it's, these little small tactics and tips can make such a huge difference between having someone who's like, no, you know what, I don't want to keep working with you. You've increased your rates. That's crazy. To like understanding that it's just a connection, a relationship, that communication that Kathleen mentioned as well is so important. And building that relationship is that, yeah, they know, like, and trust you already. So they probably will be willing to pay more as well as you make sure that you're valuing them and making that value important as part of that relationship too. The next question here, and this was also in the chat, is basically around, like, if you get approached by, or if you're approached by a client that you love and you give your rates and they basically cringe, right? They say, no, I don't want to work with you, right? So it's basically someone who declines. Now, first thing I will say is that, well, 20% of people should say no. Okay, so understanding some no's is actually okay. I know it's terrifying. I know it's hard. Dealing with rejection is part of growing a business as well. But understanding that, actually, that's okay, right? Not everyone is going to work with you. So sometimes that's just the person that's part of that 20%. Now, it may also be something else that's going on here. You need to be very aware that they just may be negotiating with you. We've seen this, right? So you can literally say to them, totally understand, love to work with you. If anything changes, let me know. They may come back to you and say, okay, let's move forward. I've changed my mind. Because actually all they were doing was negotiating. That's what some people do, right? We've seen this happen again and again with our clients, right? We have to work them through the mindset side of this, and ultimately it's their decision, right? But just because they're saying no, or it's too expensive, doesn't mean that they won't just work with you anyway. Right. So it's a really, really interesting part of that. Yes, literally everything is negotiable here, right? This is an important part of it. Yes, you can compromise. I don't know if compromise is necessarily always the right word. It might be negotiate. So it's not necessarily a compromise. You might just be saying, okay, great. Well, okay, your budget's this. Here's what I can do for that. And you might be reducing what you can actually offer. So sometimes it's just that communication where you need to go back and forth on that. You get to decide whether you're going to move forward with them or not. You get to decide how much you want to negotiate. So do make sure you've always got a clear minimum as well. What is it, my minimum I want to get paid for this project for it to actually be worthwhile, right? And just remembering that ultimately there will be more people, there will be more opportunities. Abundance says, hey, there'll be another opportunity here, even if this doesn't work out. I know it can be really hard having that rejection, but that is definitely part of it. Amazing. So we got to cover a couple of the questions there. What we are going to do from here is do that $100 giveaway. So just as I check the chat, thank you, Celeste's messaged me there. I want everyone here to pop in the chat, what's a takeaway from today? What have you learned? Right, and I will be announcing the $100 there as well. So pop in the chat, What is your takeaway? What have you learned today? What's been useful as we start to wrap up? Cool. So Celeste did say it's really tight, a lot of interactivity here. But Rachel Camacho, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong there. Rachel is the most engaged today. So Rachel, can you please send us an Instagram DM or an email to us, and we'll make sure we send that $100 across. We will use Venmo or PayPal. That's totally fine. But well done. That's awesome. You were the most interactive for sure. We had a lot of other interactivity as well. So thank you for everyone getting involved in that as well. Always creates a bit of fun around that too. I'm loving seeing here people are popping into the chat some different things. How to negotiate, confidence. Have a good read through the chat because there's so many good things people are sharing. Abundance mindset is game changer, Hannah. Love that. Knowing your value, Kelly. Nice. Charge based on value, not hourly. Nice. Yeah. You're not taking money. It's trading services. This is a huge one. Right, we hear that from a lot of people. Oh, like if I take someone's money, it's like, no, you're just trading. Right, it's just a form of trade. Be confident about talking about money. I love it. It's a trade, money for service. There's so many good things here in the chat. I absolutely love this. Hey, I've seen a bunch of people have already booked in the call with Paul. That's fantastic. I'm going to drop Paul's link again in the chat here. Please, if you haven't booked it yet, please open that link right now. Find a time. If you have any issues with finding a time, you just may need to reload it and do it again because someone else might have grabbed that first time you were trying to get. Make sure you get that all there as well, Rachel. I'm a talker, so I guess that makes me a winner this time. There we go. I love that. That's so, so great. Look, we're going to wrap things up here for today. Super lovely to connect with everyone today. I love how interactive it's been as well. Looking forward to hearing how those calls go with Paul. As I said, if this is something you want to learn more about or you need extra support, absolutely feel free to get in touch with us, book in that call with Paul, but also mention to Paul, hey, I'd love to learn more about, coaching, and I'd love to be sitting in the seat here, Kathleen, Joanna's seat, maybe in a couple of years' time, sharing all of my learnings too. You can definitely mention that, but definitely everyone here, please make sure you've got that call booked in with Paul as well. All right, we're going to wrap up things. Kathleen, thank you. It's been so fantastic, hasn't it? It's been fun.
Much fun.
Joanna as well. I really appreciate you diving in here, helping out. It's been a really good one.
Of course. Thanks for having me. This is super fun, guys.
Awesome. Take care all. Have a lovely rest of your day and look forward to connecting with everyone soon. Take care, everyone.
Hey, bye.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to add this extra little recording here. This is for if you were watching this workshop so you couldn't attend live. Obviously, always love to have people live where possible, but I also get that people are busy, everyone has lives. If you weren't able to actually attend live, but you've watched the recording, firstly, well done for working through the recording. Look, the live free call with Paul, the one-on-one call with Paul, is for you as well. So our main caveat with that is that we're only going to leave that open for the next couple of days. So please book that in as well. I'll include the link, right? The link is in the email you have been sent through, right, for this workshop. Please make sure you get that booked in because we would love to get you on that call with Paul to really talk about your dreams, challenges, the different things that you learned, digest everything from today as well. So yeah, go book that in. Love to hear how that goes. Take care all.